first pediatric session of the year. I'll just of note, this is the Project ECHO is hosted by the University of New Mexico, locally hosted by the Gastro Foundation. We've got weekly sessions, and once every 6 or 7 weeks, it's pediatrics turn. So welcome to join all of them. Our chat will be open for questions, or you can ask afterwards. I'd like to welcome this afternoon Professor Hajinicolaou. She is our first, or the head of division of pediatrics at the University of the Witwatersrand, and she's had a long career in pediatric hepatology and gastroenterology, and she's going to share with us her experiences and her data about Biliary Atresia. So a very warm welcome, Christina, and you can go ahead and share your screen. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Just unmute yourself, please, Prof.
Is that okay now?
All good, thanks. Carry on.
Okay. So welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. And thank you for the opportunity to present some of this data, which I think are quite interesting. My topic, I labeled it Biliary Atresia from Odyssey to Legacy. And you'll see as we go along why it's been called that. Hope Your Road is a Long One actually belongs to a poem, but I will be explaining that as well as we go along. So starting off with a little bit of Greek mythology and some true facts as well. Starting off with the meaning of Odyssey, which I've included in my title. Now, Homer was a Greek poet from the 8th century BC, and he's famous for the Iliad and the Odyssey that he created, which are two huge poems which consist of 24 books each, and from ancient Greece. Now, the Iliad describes the last days of the Trojan War, which took place between the 12th and the 13th century BC. And as you can imagine, he was born much later than that. So basically, this is based on verbal communication from generation to generation. The Odyssey, on the other hand, follows the Greek hero Odysseus, who was the king of Ithaca, and his 10-year journey home after the Trojan War. In the English language, it means a long and eventful and adventurous journey or experience. Just looking at the South African connection, if you look at the top of the picture, the top right-hand corner, it says Odyssey, and then it relates to a Southern African translation by Richard Whittaker. This was done in 2018. He had already translated the Iliad in about 2012, 2013. Knowing now the meaning and etymology of Odyssey, you can have a look at Advocate George Bezos's book, and he called his Odyssey to Freedom. Now, a Greek poet in 1911, Konstantinos Kavafis, created the poem Ithaca, which is based on the island that Odysseus was actually king, according to mythology. And in this poem, Odysseus journey describes the journey home of Odysseus after the end of the Trojan War. Now, this poem has been translated in more than 200 languages all over the world. It's very well known, even translated into Hindi, and basically conveys a message of what life is all about. And life is represented by Ithaca, the island. And in this poem, he notes that as we try to achieve our goals, it is very important not to lose sight of the journey, because it's the journey that offers us wisdom, makes us rich in experiences, knowledge, and maturity. Basically telling us, don't waste your time contemplating life goals, building up hopes and disappointments for the future, but rather enjoy the journey along the way until you reach your destination. And this is how I feel it relates to Biliary Atresia. Just for the journey that Odysseus took, it took him from here to the island of Ithaca 10 years, which obviously was a very, very long time, even in the ancient times. And this is today Ithaca. So my experience, I feel that the graph represents my Odyssey, the ups and downs with Biliary Atresia. But actually, this line graph represents the incidence of atresia from 1993, when I first became involved in pediatric gastroenterology, until 2022. We haven't analyzed the 23 data as yet. And you can see that there are variations. However, we couldn't find any seasonal variations that we could attribute it to, usually varying in number between 15 and 20 cases. And this, keep in mind, is allocated to one specific academic hospital, and that's Krisani Baragwanath Hospital. My Odyssey is nothing compared to the Odyssey that the surgeons went through in their management of biliary atresia. In 1769, Dr. Cook wrote a book, The Plain Account of the Diseases Instant to Children with an Easy Method of Curing Them, designed for the use of families, where he talks about jaundice. But I do believe that he was probably discussing unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia because of the easiness with which it may be treated. Although he did say that many infants are affected, some may be born with it, but it's rarely mentioned, though a great many die of it. But unclear whether he was referring to conjugated or unconjugated. The first referral, and this was handwritten and referred to biliary atresia, was in 1855 by Dr. Charles West, who founded Great Ormond Street Hospital in England. And he saw in November 1855 a female 13 weeks old, the only child of wealthy parents, born that began to get yellow at about the age of 3 weeks. Her motions at no time after the second day appeared natural, but were white like cream, and her urine was very high colored. So this is the first documented, and this handwritten note still exists. In 1891, Dr. Thompson, who was a physician pediatrician in Edinburgh, wrote a book on so-called congenital obliteration of the bile ducts, clinical and pathological, where he reviewed his own cases and those cases of suspected biliary atresias that were written and published at the time. And he came to a conclusion about the pathology of the extrahepatic bile ducts. And surprisingly, even though it was 1891, this has not been challenged for more than a century. In 1928, Ladd, of the Ladd's procedure, operated on 11 children. And based on his results and experience, it led him to recommend that surgery be carried out before 4 months of age, as his results were better in the younger children rather than the older children that presented with the biliary atresia. In 1953, Dr. Gross did laparotomies on 146 infants with biliary atresia, and he found only 27 of them to be operable and to have a biliary structure that would be suitable for anastomosis to the duodenum. Only 12 out of those patients became jaundice-free out of the 27, but overall there were some complications with only 8 of them surviving. So Willis Potts in 1959 came up with a comment that congenital atresia of the bile duct is the darkest chapter in pediatric surgery. Then along came Professor Kasai. Now, Professor Kasai was a surgeon, but interested in pediatric surgery. At the time that he was studying, there was no pediatric surgery. He noted that there was progressive destruction of the bile ducts between 2 and 12 months. And he actually described macroscopic bile ducts within the fibrous remnants of the atretic bile tree at the porta hepatis. And a very critical thing, which is so important in terms of timing of the operation, is that he observed that if the extrahepatic bile ducts were removed at a time when there was some continuity between the ductal plate of the porta hepatis and the intrahepatic biliary system, the progression of biliary atresia could be arrested. So he invented the Kasai hepatoportoenterostomy, which is still the current surgery of choice with slight modification. Unfortunately, in the West, they were reluctant to adopt Kasai's operation. So it was only in the 70s that they actually adopted this. I just need to say that sometime in the 50s, 59s, Kasai did go to Philadelphia in the USA, where he did finish a fellowship in pediatric gastroenterology. Despite that, Kasai was only adopted in the West in the 70s. And we know that without Kasai, the majority will die within the first 2 years of life. Surgery is less than 60, over 70% become jaundice-free. That's in the best situation, with 3/4 of those surviving more than 10 years with their native liver. Surgery 90 days of age, we know, has a worse prognosis. And this is what we usually define as late presentation biliary atresia, with 1/4 of these surviving to 4 to 5 years with native liver survival. The largest series was reported of 1,428 patients, where they actually looked at 25 native liver survival after Kasai portoenterostomy. We do have some 22-year-olds at the clinic. And our transplant coordinator, Anya, was very excited to tell us yesterday that they're planning a transplantation on a 26-year-old female patient at Charlotte, who survived with a Kasai until the age of 26. But as you can see, obviously, the earlier the presentation and the earlier the surgery, the better the outcome. So there were more people surviving 25 years, 38%, as compared to if the surgery was done at more than 3 months, which is 19%. Now, what is the incidence in our population? Taiwan reports an incidence of 1 in 5,000, and it's the similar in the rest of Asia as well, whereas Europe and America report incidences of 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 20,000. So what about South Africa? Now, we looked at this. If you look at the map there, which is a recent map that was published recently, there's absolutely not a single dot of color in South Africa, with the white having data unavailable, the light yellow being low incidence, and the very dark, the purple color, as you can see, Japan and Taiwan, some of the highest incidences. But what about South Africa? So early on, together with Michelle Zuckerman, we looked at this and tried to identify what a probable incidence is in South Africa. So we looked at infants between 93 and 96, and this was published in Pediatric Gastroenterology and Nutrition. What we hypothesized was that biliary atresia in South Africa occurs as frequently as in the East. So we looked at 93 to 96. We had 71 cases. We used our neonatologists. We took a very good history. It was just the 2 of us doing the study. So we had reliable information in terms of location. And then we discovered that for some of the years, the incidence went as high as 1 in 2,500. And in 1995, it was 1 in 8,000. So as you can see, looking at so we are closer towards Taiwan and East Asia as well. The results at that stage were actually dismal. So of the 71 infants that were diagnosed, only 10, overall 10, which was 14%, became jaundice-free. So we concluded then, which was very early on, that the identification of cases and the early diagnoses are of paramount importance, particularly in South Africa, where liver transplantation is not easily accessible to all patients. From the point of view of the surgeons, their comments were, in 1976, looking at the problem of biliary atresia, after a 30-year experience, we can certainly say that the jaundiced baby who has had no extrahepatic bile duct has been the most disappointing patient for the surgeon in the whole realm of lesions, theoretically correctable by surgical procedure. But this is actually true. So then we looked at our biliary atresia management, and keep in mind that I keep referring to Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital, one particular hospital itself. And these are data which I have collected over the years. If you look at 93 to 94, a combination of 2 years, you will find that only 31 out of the 54 were amenable to surgery. And of those, only 8 were functioning, 26%. If you look at the overall success of the functioning over the total that presented, you'll find a 14.8%. So that was 93, 94 at the time that we did the study as well. Then jumping a couple of decades to 2011, we come now to a late presentations of 31%. But now our results are a little bit better, 24.1% overall success, with 37% of those that were submitted to Kasai being successful. Looking at 2021, another decade down the line, now we're still having 30% late presentations, but now our results are much better. Out of the ones that were presented for surgery, 57% were successful, with the overall working out to about 40%. Now, we did look at this, and Tim will be very familiar with this study, where we looked at the outcomes of Kasai in children with biliary atresia in Johannesburg. And we looked at children from 2009 to 2012. And we found that only 43, which was 61%, which means 40% were late presenters, and overall success of 70%. And this was published in the SMJ. So we do have reasons to congratulate ourselves as a profession. There have definitely been advancements in terms of the introduction of perioperative protocols for Kasai portoenterostomy, steroids, antibiotics, different choleretics, advances in transplantation, whether it's methods, medications, modes of management of rejection, etc., cholestasis, and all the drugs that are becoming available even lately, management of ascending cholangitis, and specific available antibiotics that work quite well. And we did write one of the biliary atresia splenic malformation syndromes presenting with hepatic abscesses, an 8.5-year-old that presented late with ascending cholangitis, complicated by abscesses, but resolved with adequate antibiotic care and underwent eventually a cadaveric transplantation. So however important these advances are, the diagnosis of biliary atresia and its consequences are devastating to a family who have, for the first few weeks of life, believed that they had a normal child. They're angry, they're depressed, they're frustrated when they found out actually that we have no idea what causes a condition. I mean, we give lots of possibilities, and we also have very little understanding of the pathogenesis, and end up providing them with a grim diagnosis if the baby does not undergo surgery, early surgery. So this brought us to the launching of a medical campaign. So what does a medical campaign include? It includes careful planning, ethical considerations, and effective communication. So as relates to the biliary atresia campaign, we first needed to assess thoroughly the extent of the medical problem. And we also were supposed to develop an awareness of the campaign and address specific issues as related to South Africa itself, the needs and challenges that we are facing as a country in terms of our management of biliary atresia. So first we had to recognize that there was a problem. Then we had to identify factors that contribute to the problem in our situation, and then assess the impact of the health problem on individuals, communities, whether it was physical, emotional, economic. And we used data that we had collected already to understand the prevalence and incidence of this health issue locally. The blue graph relates to the incidences of cholestasis in infancy in various countries. And it does, if you look at it, biliary atresia as documented here. For example, in a study in Korea, it was about 28% of the total of the causes of cholestasis. Portugal, 24%, Germany, 41%, but that was in 2014. And as we go down, I mean, there was it varies between 25 to about 55%. When we looked at our data and I have not obviously included all the years because, I mean, I couldn't make a table big enough for this, but the overall incidence, like I said, it does vary between, it can be usually 15 cases, and this is one particular center we're talking about, Baragwanath Hospital. But there have been situations where we had, in 2011, we had 29 cases. In 21, we had 30 cases just in one center alone. And in 22, we had 22 cases. Looking at and there's a variety of conditions. I just completed the 22 conditions, but you can see that about 50-something% were actually biliary atresias. And we know that biliary atresias are the ones that contribute a lot to transplantation as well. So we knew that, so we recognized that there was a problem. Okay, so then we had to identify, and we know that the incidence is high because we've already proven this, we've done the study. We know that it's not really related so much. There has been an overall increase in success in our Kasais. So why are our results bad? And delayed presentation is one of those issues. So, but this is not just a South African issue. Delayed disease recognition, late referral, and untimely surgery remains a worldwide problem. So the age of Kasai has not improved over the last several decades. What they're saying, age of Kasai in a very developed country or the West or in Japan, for example, is probably different to what we're referring to in South Africa or in Africa or South America. So they're assuming that the age of Kasai is older in regions of Africa and South America. But that comprehensive data is lacking. And they're saying that the incidence hasn't changed because they're working on the assumption that the operation is going to be at less than 60 days of age. So they're saying that implies if the median age is 60, it means that 50% of cases do not have the Kasai before the age of 60. So they fail to meet the international quality criterion of less than 60 days of age at surgery. So they did also identify a number of issues as to the possibilities. Maybe it might be thought to be the jaundice might be thought to be a benign process. Maybe it could be breast milk jaundice or breastfeeding jaundice. Maybe there's no monitoring by healthcare workers. And maybe the routine well baby visits, which vary in different parts of the world depending on immunizations, miss that window of opportunity to identify these kids. So we looked at cases then. So we did a study as an MMed where we looked at the late presentation biliary atresia, still at our hospital. And we found 49 out of the 102 cases, which worked out to 48%. We did the study over from 2010 to 2015. The study was from 2010 to 2015, so about 6 years. And then it was finished a few years later. But we found that about 48% are late presenters. So we thought, let's try and identify what is the cause of this late presentation, which is giving us these dismal results. So we looked at it at different levels, at parental level, primary healthcare clinics, district hospital levels, and tertiary hospitals. And I will show you another diagrammatic representation that reflects even better. But we found that, let me go to this one here. If you look at the two big lines, this is the factors for late presentation. And we looked at various issues. Surprisingly, we didn't find any preference to herbal medication, for example, bringing a cause for the delay in presentation. But we did find quite a variety of things, which is depicted in the diagram, the figure over here. But the big lines that you notice, the big blue line, the delay in presentation, is because parents thought of that as normal. the delay in jaundice disappearing. And then the second most important thing, and this is where we can also help extensively, is there was a failure from the primary healthcare clinics to actually refer these children when they were seen at 6 weeks because of various reasons. The parents were given false reassurance by the primary healthcare clinics. They were told to put the children under sunlight, etc. So there was various reasons. So now we've got 2 target populations that we can aim if we want to present late presentation. So we were able to define our objectives. We needed to increase awareness about biliary atresia. So we needed to include the general public, healthcare professionals, and policymakers. And this awareness would then lead to early detection and diagnosis with a primary goal, prompt surgical intervention. But we also wanted somehow to measure the impact because we are dealing with evidence-based medicine. And there is an MSc in progress by one of our fellows looking at our poster and whether there has been any success with this campaign. So it can be measured through statistics, the number of infants screened, the percentage of cases diagnosed, the number of successful surgeries, and improvements in overall patient outcomes. But to successfully achieve this, we needed medical professional engagement as well. So we needed collaboration with healthcare professionals for a successful campaign to educate about the signs and symptoms of biliary atresia and to ensure the timely referrals. We needed government engagement. So we involved Hartech Department of Health, and we got the support. And eventually we got the support of National Department of Health. And then the National Department of Health Deputy Director of Transplant and Dialysis is a member of our biliary atresia committee. And he himself engaged with child health on a national level. And they ruled in favor of rolling out a campaign on a national level based on our statistics and our experiences of endorsing the poster that took us a few months to create and endorsing the 16th of October as a Biliary Atresia Day on the health calendar. I need to mention that in America, 1st of December is the Biliary Atresia Day. In Europe, it does tend to vary, and there are some countries that celebrate it in September, October, but we chose the 16th of October. We also needed university engagement, and the Departments of Pediatrics and the University of the Witwatersrand. And this we primarily, in retrospectively, found out it improved in terms of our media dissemination of information, because it really helped quite extensively. We need community engagement as well. And by engaging the community, you end up with success. But we wanted to also supply support groups, online forums, and community events that can provide a platform to affected families to share their experiences and offer support to one another. We're starting off with a campaign, and this is something that we're planning to do in the future. The media coverage, this was amazing. Had an amazing effect. Positive media, especially with technology nowadays, can significantly contribute to the success of a campaign because it reaches a broader audience. So whether it's news stories, articles, features, radios, presentations, TV presentations, they promote understanding and encourage support for affected individuals. Then we had to decide on which method would be the best to improve awareness. So short-term would be an educational poster. We thought long-term would be inclusion in something like a Road to Health booklet, either as a red sign, jaundice and white stool, or in the form of a stool color chart, which is used already in overseas countries. Then we thought we needed to create a South African Biliary Atresia registry, and we are in progress of creating that. In the process of creating the campaign, we created a website as well, the biliaryatresia.sa@gmail.com, to provide additional educational information and also information on community events and fundraising events. In terms of screening, it was difficult to decide because we know that dried blood spots, it's not possible to measure direct or conjugated bilirubin from the dried blood spots. In 1993, the UK put in the Yellow Alert educational campaign, and that was from King's College and UK Children's Liver Disease Foundation, where they integrated lab testing. So any child more than 14 was supposed to be assessed for conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, so fractionation of the bilirubin. They promoted this as cost-effective considering that the majority of their children will probably end up with a liver transplant. However, for whatever reason, this was not well integrated into standard care practices, and it actually didn't work as well as was expected to work. Then the stool color chart introduced in Japan in 1994. This was given initially as just a piece of paper to a pregnant mother, which she had to complete within a month of delivery, and then present when she presented to the healthcare professional. Eventually they included it as part of the booklet. But between 1994 and 2011, they dropped the mean age 60 days versus 70 days, which was the previous few years. And at 5 years post-introduction of this stool chart, more than 90 days of Kasai portal enterostomy virtually was eliminated. Then there were some other pilot studies in specific areas of Beijing, China, some areas of Canada as well. And then national screening was introduced 2018, and further in Switzerland, Japan, Taiwan, and the ongoing pilot studies in Brazil, China, Portugal, and now in South Africa. Speaking to some contacts in Germany, they only very recently introduced the stool color chart, and it's only been accepted as a nationwide screening tool after decades of trial. So it's not that we're doing too badly compared to the rest of the world. The other opportunity with technology now, with AI, etc., is the stool color smartphone app. Now, this was, there's various that have been introduced, but I couldn't find any studies that would compare the 3 different types in terms of sensitivity or specificity. So there's a Poop MD from US, Baby Poop from Japan, Popo Up from Italy. So which one were we going to use? Then in 2018, Les Goddard from Cape Town communicated with us and said that should we introduce advocacy for introduction of into Road to Health card? I think we're talking specifically about the red signs like jaundice and a colic stool. So there was a form that was completed. I did offer to supply some statistics that I had from 1993. However, unfortunately, this did not materialize. And the latest Road to Health booklet is a huge booklet full of writing of more than 50 pages, not easily readable. And speaking to community pediatrics, when I told them recently and last week, when I wanted to introduce the stool color chart, they said, you want to introduce even more pages and more writing in a book that's already not very practical. But we decided, after all our experiences, that we're going to be dealing with an educational poster. That we're going to start off with, it would be an educational poster. We're going to start small and move big. Why did we choose the sunflower? Because of the color, the yellow color. So we want yellow stool, and also because of jaundice. It means love, friendship, hope. The green ribbon in the logo represents support for many awareness campaigns, including liver disease as well. And sunflower, just the etymology of sunflower, Elianthus, comes from the Greek, which basically means sunflower. Okay, I'm not going to go into the mythology. So the journey from a small seed to a towering flower tree serves as a powerful analogy for the transformative process of starting with humble beginnings and achieving significant success over time. So when we started the Biliary Atresia Awareness Committee, which was last year, we were just a small group of health professionals, transplant coordinators, and government officials, and that had experience with this condition and the dismal results. And we had already done, based on our data, we already knew what we had to approach, what we had to concentrate on in terms of raising awareness. So we wanted to raise awareness, we wanted to support families, we want to eventually advance research, and we want to foster international and local collaboration. And those were the kind of aims, okay? So we were a small team with great aspirations, and we were ambitious, and impatient. We wanted to grow from a seed to this within a couple of months. So I suggest we wanted to rally the healthcare professionals to converge in efforts towards early detection and adept management of biliary atresia, ensuring a more promising future for our children. So like a seed, you start small. A seed is small and insignificant, but holds such a blueprint for a mighty shrub or tree. So our project or initiative was modest at the start, but we knew it carried the potential for significant achievements and success in terms of the outcomes of biliary atresia, because we were already aware of what we needed to concentrate on, which was education. Then the initiation or the planting. So you plant the seed in fertile soil. Similarly, we laid the groundwork for the campaign under the auspices of Gauteng Provincial Solid Organ Transplant Division and the University of the Witwatersrand. We planned, we researched, and we took the first steps towards implementation. We developed a logo, a slogan, a poster, T-shirts. We even discussed our catering as well. Then you need development and growth. So nurturing is like a seed that requires water, sunlight, and care to grow. A campaign needs nurturing. And this involves dedication, hard work, and ongoing efforts to foster process. Now we learned, as we went along, we learned what the problems arose, how the problems arose and how to deal with them. We adapted designs. We overcame challenges, whether it was communication challenges, access to certain things, financial challenges, or other challenges. Then we needed to create a foundation, because as a plant grows, it develops strong roots. And we built the campaign's foundations through our personal experiences, established and published research, and establishment of clear objectives, providing stability and structured plans for future growth. And we're still in the process of doing this. The sprouting is the early success. The plant begins to sprout. It indicates a first sign of success. So we experienced initial achievements with the launch of the campaign in August. We gained recognition and making a positive impact. We had wonderful comments from some of the mothers who had children with biliary atresia, who encouraged us to go ahead and create the poster. So this encouraged further progress, which culminated in the poster launch in October 2023. The campaign was launched in August 30th. And you might recognize some of these people in the pictures. In terms of branches, expansion, a healthy plant develops branches and leaves, expanding its reach. Likewise, we branched out with media involvement, attracting a larger audience and increasing awareness. And I'll show you how we did that. This is our biliary. It's a busy slide, but it's just practically the same people. This is what our poster looks like at the moment. And this is the Biliary Atresia Awareness Campaign that was revealed on the 16th of October at SIMJ. It was presented to a small group of people, but we had representatives from government, and we had representatives from vets and journalists as well to promote the campaign. It was actually a fun event. At the top here, we were campaigning, and we managed to get about 50 signatures in 1 hour of people that stopped to have a look at our poster and ask questions and be educated. So we were very happy with that. There was also in the Gauteng bulletin, news bulletin, Gauteng Health News Bulletin, there was an article about the campaign. There was an article in a magazine about the campaign. There was an article, quite a few articles by the University of Witwatersrand, in the Faculty of Health Sciences newsletter, in the Wits Faculty of Health Sciences LinkedIn, and also in the SOCOM newsletter as well. We were also on Twitter. You know, this is things that I have never experienced before, obviously. That we were on pause, who assisted us in choosing our slogan as well. So with maturity, you need to reach your full potential. So over time, this is for the future, the plant reaches maturity, fully realizing its potential. We have not reached this stage yet, obviously, and we're looking forward to the fulfillment of the campaign's intended purpose and documentation of its successful impact. Then you reach the benefits and rewards, because a mature tree will bear fruit, providing tangible benefits. So likewise, a campaign will yield rewards, personal satisfaction, positive contributions to the community. So you get earlier diagnosis, later transplantation. Then you reach the stage where you've got a full field of sunflowers, beautiful sunflowers. So this is the impact and the influence. Just as a single tree contributes to a larger forest ecosystem, a successful project can have a broader impact. It may inspire others and hopefully assist in implementing inclusion in Road to Health booklet, creation of a biliary atresia registry, early recognition of other causes of cholestasis. Because in the process of identifying biliary atresia, you're also going to be educating about other possibilities and other possible differentials. And then you come to legacy, which is part of my title. Okay, from Odyssey to legacy. This is the long-lasting impact. Now, trees leave, we know that they leave a long-lasting legacy, shaping landscapes. So we hope that our biliary atresia awareness campaign that started small will continue to grow and leave a lasting impact on the lives of those it has touched, specifically the children with biliary atresia. We have ongoing plans, South African Biliary Atresia Registry. We have ongoing plans for international collaboration with the European Biliary Atresia Registry. We have biliary atresia awareness registration, attempting to register as NGOs or NPOs, non-profit organization. We are looking forward to finding opportunities. And we also obviously planning to move beyond Gauteng, beyond South Africa. And what about maybe an African association of hepatobiliary conditions? It was very rewarding to actually join a webinar. Can't remember what month it was, but it was from the Emory University of Atlanta, where one of the speakers was Dr. Eckhard Sturm, who's establishing the European Biliary Atresia Registry. And at that stage, he was speaking about establishing an international biliary atresia registry. I'm only showing this to show you that now, even though in recent articles, South Africa is not included, in this particular presentation of his, he actually included South Africa as well. We were lucky enough to meet him at the last ESPGHAN meeting. So eventually, with long-term comes sustainability as well, because a successful campaign lays the groundwork for long-term sustainability. What I'm showing here is actually one of the pediatric surgeons using our poster as an example of how we're going to be introducing screening into our population. Ultimately, the success is a multifaceted achievement that requires a combination of public awareness, community engagement, medical collaboration, and sustained efforts to improve outcomes for those affected by the disease. And lest we forget what we're doing it for, this is a part of our advocacy and commitment to pediatric community health. As one mother said to us, no mom-to-be is ever prepared to have a child ill of any disease, even with biliary atresia. Biliary atresia is a very serious liver disease. With campaigns as such, will help get more people aware. Going back to the Greek poem I mentioned earlier on, as you set out for Ithaca, hope your journey is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. So you're old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you've gained on the way. And yes, I have enjoyed the journey, and now the Odyssey has become the legacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof Hajinicolaou. It was an excellent overview of all your experience with biliary atresia, and I'm pleased to hear about the campaign. I think we on a daily basis see tragic story after tragic story, and I think recently, last week, we had a patient who was seen at an academic hospital at 1 month of age with biliary atresia, but the sonar showed a gallbladder, so they discharged the child, and the child is now 4 months and cirrhotic. So I think education and at all levels, at clinic level, at hospital level, and obviously at parent level, is the way to go. I haven't seen any questions in the chat. Let me just have a look there. No questions or comments yet. I think I've allowed everyone to unmute. So if anyone has a comment, please unmute yourself and speak up. So there is a question from Dr. Wakeke in Kenya, who said, how did you fund this?
We had to put our personal money into the initial funding, okay, for the campaign particularly. But we also got funding and support from organizations that assisted us in setting up the campaign, and people that were willing to pay for a certain number of posters for us to begin with the campaign. We do have promises from Gauteng Health and from the Fall Department of Health that there's definitely money available to fund posters for the rest of South Africa as well. So we're hoping that will turn true.
Yeah, thank you. I was always wondering if we couldn't get a nappy company to sponsor this, but it might be politically incorrect. Liz Goddard has raised a hand. Liz, do you want to unmute yourself? Not sure if she's able to unmute. Oh, there we go.
No, I can now. Yeah. So thank you very much, Christina. And I mean, well done to you and your team. It's an enormous amount of work. And, you know, I mean, we've had numerous conversations over the decades. But I just wondered, I was interested where you sort of said, I mean, we teach the medical students to investigate jaundice at 2 weeks. It's not in the IMCI at all. And, you know, it just sort of worries me that we have a different attitude to the medical students and the doctors as opposed to the people that are actually seeing the jaundice children, because they are overwhelmed with jaundice at the clinic. And I mean, I was interested just where you'd sort of got on that slide that it wasn't actually that effective, you know, like, because basically any conjugated jaundice we want referred up the line.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if there's any sort of point of care testing. I mean, these clinics are already overloaded. There's more budget cuts. I don't know if you've got any views of which way to go for that. I mean, and I know Tim's going to, you know, he's a big advocate for these genetic testing. So obviously we want all of those jaundice children referred in a bit earlier.
Thank you, Liz. Yeah, it is a very difficult situation. Our transplant coordinators are actually, I don't see her online at the moment. She would have been able to add to this, because she was the one that was seeing it, because she's a sister from the nursing point of view, and basically obtaining permission from the CEOs at the different hospitals. We're going to be starting at the hospitals and then gradually moving to the clinics as well, educating all the health workers, together with for example, the neonatal units or the prenatal units, the pregnant mothers awaiting delivery. So this is how we were thinking of starting off our campaign. In terms of what we teach the students, we do teach them, if a child is term, 2 weeks. If a child is prem, 3 weeks. And on the poster, we actually added this, the specific timing. So we're hoping it's going to be noticed by the clinical staff. I see Priya's got a hand up, and then maybe she can expand.
I was just wondering, because when I looked at the IMCI for the nurses, it's not on IMCI at all. So like what I'm saying is we need to sort of
we invited Prof Saluji, and anyway, we invited the people involved in community health. Unfortunately, they were unable to join us for their campaign in August. And I did discuss with community health again 2 weeks ago that surely they're interested and surely they want to get involved. And I think Priya approached one of the people in public health, and maybe she would be able to expand on that, on how we're going to achieve this. Priya? Sorry. Tim, can
Thank
please
you.
talk?
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for that amazing talk, Christina. And always towards the end, it always just brings some tears into my eyes. But Liz, yeah, so I don't think Anya could join. There's something with a link. But essentially from a nursing point of view, it's interesting because we had a few experienced sort of nursing staff at our poster launch, and they actually, a lot of them admitted, guys, like, what we used to just say, put the kids in the sun. So I think IMCI really kind of missed the boat when it comes to that. And that's why we're hoping to at least just even get the Road to Health, that chart, the stool chart, onto the Road to Health booklet, because that would actually make a world of difference. But yeah, our primary approach is going to be a nursing sister or a transplant coordinator and a doctor for education at all our clinics in our cluster. And that's why we need everyone to be involved as well. So this is not just us. There's going to be different we need outreach from all of you guys. So Cape Town will have their own committee, like a subcommittee. So I think, Liz, it's a huge task, but I think we need to do this. Thank you.
I think Liz volunteered already to assist in the campaign. So from the Cape point of view, I hope you're still interested, Liz.
I see Penny is also interested. Penny, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hi, yeah, thank you so much. It's really exciting to see all the work that you're doing in Gauteng. And I think we're definitely looking forward to expand it to the rest of the country and definitely to Cape Town. I was at a meeting that was organized by SAPA, and even though we might have missed the boat getting the stool chart for now into the Road to Health books, we had a very interesting discussion looking at a Road to Health book app. So, you often have Road to Health books that are kind of burnt in fires or lost, or the granny has it, or it's left in the Eastern Cape. And we were thinking if there could be a general app that parents could have, and that you could somehow sort of log in again and get the baby's details. You could have all that information on an app and handheld, and then maybe there could be a prompt built in that every single mother will be prompted to check the color of their stool on certain days. And also importantly, that then if you say that the baby's stool is acolic, it could say basically this child needs referral to a tertiary facility, because a lot of times I think the nurses don't know what to do. And even if you put up posters, they might get torn down. So I think, with all of modern technology and smartphones, we need to start thinking of novel solutions. And unfortunately, no one does read the Road to Health books. So I think if there's any of these initiatives, we must try and make sure we don't miss the boat going forward with new technology that Biliary Atresia is included in those plans.
Thank you, Penny. That's a very good idea. Yeah, very good idea. I did discuss. I think Tanya Ruda is part of SAPA, and we will be organizing more meetings directly with community health, pediatrics and public health to discuss how we're going to introduce this, especially if it's going to go online, the Road to Health card and other information. So yes, we are in discussion with SAPA and community health and public health directly.
Yeah, thanks, Penny. I think we also, I was involved when they were designing the Road to Health booklet and was told they could only do 3 or 4 colors, and so the stool chart was a no-no to go there. So I think to put it in, if there was an app or something, it would be fantastic. I think that's the way to go. Mehmet, our recent graduate, is got his hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Christina. Thank you for a nice presentation, and thanks for your team. Actually, we have to appreciate what you did, and please carry on. Just, I don't know, because we know that biliary atresia, it's easy to miss, and I think you mentioned in your presentation because of delayed seeking of the medical advice. So what's the rule? Because I was reading many articles about the matrix metalloproteinase 7, MMB7, as a screening test for the biliary atresia and early detection of biliary atresia. I don't know, do you implement even in the private? Because I don't know if in South Africa implemented even in the private sector or no. That's my question. I don't know, because I saw many articles they're working on an MMB7 matrix metalloproteinase.
I think you're muted, Christina.
Yeah, no, okay. Thank you for the kind
sorry.
words. Yes. I mean, it is something to consider maybe for the future. I don't think it's available in South Africa at the moment, and I know it's in the literature. But, you know, if you think of the pathophysiology of biliary atresia, you're going to have to think of a variety of possibilities as to the pathophysiology. So I don't know specifically you know, when we're going to get the resources. We don't even have the resources to create a poster. When are we going to get the resources to create laboratories to do this special testing? So financial resources is an issue. And that's why we started small with 100 posters. So we started with 100, waiting for government to kind of assist us, then going on as an NGO and getting more funding different ways. So once we establish that, and then we can establish communication with specific laboratories from overseas, then we'll be able to communicate and see if we can make it available. Anyone else wants to add something more?
Thanks, Christina. I see a number of comments thanking you for an excellent presentation, and I concur. I also just want to note there's a number of participants from other African countries, and I think I've put the email for the Biliary Atresia campaign in the chat. I think that might be a way of them to contact you if they're interested in starting the Biliary Atresia campaign or registry in their own country. That I'm sure would be fantastic. I don't see any other hands. Checking once last time. No other hands. So that leaves me with just to say a very big thank you to Prof Hajinicolaou for sharing her experience and expertise with us. And we really enjoyed having you on the GECO meeting. I want to say thanks to ECHO New Mexico and also the ECHO India team who does the technical support. There will be a recording available on the Gastro Foundation website for anyone to view. So thanks to them as well. And thank you to the sponsors. And then lastly, for next week, hepatocellular carcinoma is on the cards. So same place, same time. Thank you, everyone, and good evening. Enjoy your Valentine's.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.